My name is Erika Chima. I will talking about my business proposal to investment in Peru. It is a project with an investment of $1 million. To execute this project, we need $40,000 of loan. According to the capital budget present, we find that expenses are similar to the previous exercise, exercise 2, and the sales project covers the initial investment and leaves a profit margin of approximately 10%. It is important to identify the I agree with the diagram that I review about the identification of risk. Identification of risk factors according to diagram. The 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 work previous, the systematic and non-systematic risk factors were estimated. The depreciation of the dollar is the greatest. This risk is inherent and is subject. This risk is inherent and is subject to the factors mentioned above, because it's the risk, but to define that the risk is due to the need to cover to the Colombian money, peso. Here we depend of the tier M, okay, of the two countries, and the forward that we cover the other items. The risk is low in all. At that time, we found that to develop this exercise using a measurable method in the item mentioned in diagram previous. It's important to understand that amount, although it is true, Peru has a more stable economy than Colombia. Different. It has the same risk when making a foreign investment, but in order to make the decision to carry, in order to make the all this project according to the risk, we had to classify the most significant risk in the exercise of the investment. Finally, the camp model. Okay, and the camp model. Good afternoon. My name is Erika Chima. I will talking about my business proposal to invest in Peru. It is a project with an investment of $1 million. And to execute this project, we need $40,000 of loan. According to the capital budget, we find the expenses similar to the previous exercise number 2. Some sales projections covers the investment and leaves a profit of approximately 10%. It's important to identify in the diagrams that review in the work the identification of the risk. According for fire 2, the risk, okay, identification of the risk factors the systematic and no systematic. Risk factor were estimated the depreciation of the dollar is the greatest. This risk is inherent and is subject to the factors mentioned above because it is the risk but to define that the risk is due to the need to convert to the Colombian money or peso. And we depend on the TRM of the two countries, and the forwards is the necessary that we cover the over items. The risk is low in all. That time we find that to develop this exercise using a miserable method in the items mentioned in fire or exercise. It is important to understand that amount it is true Peru has a more stable economy than Colombia. It has the same risk when making a foreign investment, but in order to make the decision to carry out this project according to the risk, we had to classify the most significant risk in the exercise of investment. Continue. When talking about the CAPM, the project is the identify this risk was used to calculate the systematic and non-systematic risk. But the third is not calculated gives us an exact value. In terms of probability, estimated to arrive to perform its analysis was necessary, and the ERR giving it percentage. This calculation results the exercise in 0.01472. Only the beta risk-free interest and the risk interest rate, because the exercise does not focus and is not broad in the diversity of risk. The risk premium has not taken into account in an effective way since the market probability was calculated with similarity to the economic development of the company Colombia. These factors mean that the expected returns is not as precise as expected. I don't know, expected. On the other hand, the decision is made to invest in the investment for the year in Peru, since the probabilities of the risks are low and only the high has identified reading this analysis for to reach this conclusion. Okay, is the final decision of the Nacional de Chocolates. After of the above arguments, we found that it is viable to make the investment in Peru if we take into account the first option offered. The first exercise, the fact of choosing Peru as the country to expand the business was due to the foreign investor. Hmm? It is geographic proximity in Colombia. Something very important and interest to note is that the first exercise or first guide or first exercise will focus efforts to perform the export of goods from Colombia. In the second exercise or in the second year, financially intervention was carried out with an initial invested amount of $1 million. In the first review, it was not possible, not possible. And the final decision. After the above arguments, we found what it is viable to make the investment in Peru. If we take into account the first option offered from the first exercise, the fact of choosing Peru as the country to expand the business was due to the strong economic different of Colombia. Rock that has sat in the last 5 years. The business opportunity offered of the foreign investor, its geographic proximity is sometimes very important, and the interesting to note is that in the first exercise or first guide or exercise, we focus for to perform the export of goods from Colombia. That's why the projections were made taking into account transportation cost, rate, and tariff. In the ending, on the other hand, we identify the greatest risk in the management of currencies, specifically in the conversation that is made upon receiving the benefit. This is aspect is supported by the probability and future projection of the currencies. To be able to continue with the investment, only way to be able to secure the investment. In this way, the risk can be managed financially under the presented circumstances. We believe that the risk will be minimized by the professionals that is going to handle the use of currencies and the best choice in terms of selected coverage. In the end, the project in Peru. Thank you so much.